And we are back. What's up, y'all? Appreciate y'all for coming in. Hey, I know we've been, we made our grand announcement yesterday, Brian, that we looking for some arguments. If y'all want to call in and do that, just in case y'all ain't watched yesterday's show, I'm gonna advertise this all week, and y'all will be able to tap in with me. We'll just figure all this out. If you have a major disagreement, not a small, like small disagreements are cool. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But if you think me and Brian are idiots, we invite you to as long as there's a respectful argument that you think we just flat out crazy about, we are gonna have a show dedicated to disagreeing with y'all. So please, if you one of them people, go down the chat or in the comments and let us know, hey Voch, this is my disagreement, or put who you are, which one of us that you disagree with, and what your disagreement is, and we will coordinate a little whooping for you. You know what I'm saying? Me and Bryan Broaddus will pull up with a belt and we'll get you right. You know what I'm saying? So hey, tap in with us. Man, Bryan Broaddus, man, we just can't avoid it, man. We can't avoid talking about these old players of ours. Backstage, me and you was talking, and we was like, yeah, man, we're gonna break down the Washington defense today. Both of us was we was yawning, Brian. We was drinking water. The microphones didn't work. But when I said, hey, yo, Brian, you want to talk about some prospects? Brian said, you want to talk about? And you got excited, Brian. You got a little pep in your step.
I got a little pep. Got a little pep in my step. I always love talking about players. I will say this real quickly about the Commanders, okay, in this game, and see if you've kind of the same thing. This was hard for me to believe and hard for me to grasp. The Commanders have given up more on defense, have given up more first downs rushing than your Dallas Cowboys have.
You a lie.
No. Oh. Commanders have given up 93 first downs rushing. Dallas has given up 91.
I'll tell you why that makes sense, because, people break off 60-yard runs versus us. So that's probably what it is. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Well, no, it was just kind of funny. I just kind of feel like with the Commanders, there's people, what they've done is people have run the ball on them, and they've got a good group of players. But the thing about it is that when you run the ball, maybe you don't try and throw as much because you feel like you can have some success. But I kind of feel like, though, Dan Quinn's done a really nice job of taking the guys that he has. And I'll point out a couple of guys real quick before we get going here. Sure. This Frankie Louvu that they got from Carolina, this linebacker, number 4. Yep. Frankie Louvu is a really good football player. I mean, you're talking about a linebacker, and they use him very much like they used Micah Parsons. Sure. He blitzes him. He plays him off ball. He's an off ball linebacker. So they rush him through the middle. This guy gets sacks. They take him off the edge. This guy gets pressures. Mm-hmm. So Frankie Louvu and then Bobby Wagner, the two inside linebackers, they're like multiple pressure guys. Sure. So you got to be ready for that.
See, what's interesting, Brian, let me just say this though. Watching Washington though, something that really hurt me. I remember when Dante Fowler was on our team.
That's what I'm saying.
And I was about to
go there.
If we just give Dante an opportunity, let's see what he can do.
There we go.
Dante got opportunity.
That's the trick.
There you go.
Dante Fowler. See, in today's Dallas Cowboys, Fowler would have been playing full time. Mm-hmm. Last year's Fowler was a spot player, rotational opportunity. Got pressures, got sacks, but it's kind of like watching Golston and Lawson and those guys play now. Mm-hmm. They're playing every snap. Yeah. And Dan Quinn's doing the same thing. You remember that the Washington Commanders, they shipped off their edge rushers. Yeah. Last year they kept their 2 defensive tackles and shipped off their edge rushers. Yeah. And Dan Quinn goes, man, we need to get some edge rushers. So what he does, he brings Fowler with him. He brings Armstrong with him. And what's funny is Armstrong used to play as a right end, is now kind of playing as a left end. Yep. They got Fowler rushing off the right side. And Fowler's been pretty damn good for him. 8.5 sacks. Yep. He is going to cause some problems. But the same things you talk about, the problems of the pass rush, they've got issues with the run, their run defense stuff. Mm-hmm. They really, really do. And this is why, to me, this would have been a fun game if you would have all of a sudden said, we're going to start Trey Lance in this game, and we're going to make this thing an RPO game. we're going to make them have to defend the run. We're going to run the quarterback. We're going to run the backs. We're going to do some jet sweep stuff. We're going to just kind of try and run the football and win the game that way. This probably will turn into we're going to get behind and let's throw the ball every snap again. And then next thing you know, Fowler, Armstrong, Deron Payne, those guys are just teeing off on you. Yeah. Frankie Louvu is rushing through the middle, and Zach Martin. If Zach Martin plays, that's a big question mark this week. Sure. That next thing you know, they're one-on-one and winning those battles, and Cooper Rush is getting sacked. Yeah. But if you could run the ball, this would be a good way to kind of to be able to combat what the Commanders do. Sure. And so, and I kind of feel like, though, when you look at how they play, in the secondary, throwing the ball. I mean, St. Juste is a good player, but you look at quarterback rating against him, it's like 109. Yeah. I mean, these guys, when they play, they give up like 8 yards of reception.
I tell you what, though, Brian, Sanders, the rookie.
Sanders, the rookie from Michigan. Yeah.
I like him a little bit.
He's a good player, but the same things. Now, you think about what they've done. They busted on that Emmanuel Forbes.
Sure.
Forbes doesn't even play. And this will now be the tale for us going forward, is the 166-pound or the 163-pound corner. Mm-hmm. This is the okay, well, tell me all the corners that are 160, because I know one thing, our group, I know in the draft show, there was some very supportive people of Forbes. You watched him play at Mississippi State, sure. And everybody's like, wow, this kid, if he can get to you, wow, what a good pick. The Commanders took him first round, yep. And right now he ain't playing. Nope. They're playing, other people instead of Forbes. Playing in the nickel, playing in, they're not playing him. And you know what? He wasn't drafted by this administration. Yeah. He wasn't drafted by this general manager. Yeah. They've got him on the field as a backup player. And so, but that's going to be the one when we start to talk about in the draft, if we run across, and we're going to run across a thin corner in this Shaven Ravel from East Carolina. I think I said his name right.
It's something like that. I'm gonna have
Shaven Ravel. Yeah, I think it's Shaven Ravel. Yeah. But here's a kid that hurt his ACL. Dan Cooper, the Dallas Cowboys team doctor, the very talented doctor who does a lot of surgeries around the country. He fixed this kid's knee from East Carolina, and so. But he would have been in, when you start to talk about, how about Will Johnson from Michigan? Well, I like this kid from East Carolina a little bit better. But the East Carolina kid's got a bad knee right now, sure. Or he's got a knee that got repaired. Yeah. We'll see what happens from that. But that's he's a kind of a thinner guy, weight wise, but will knock you out as a player. So. Here we are, the 166-pound cornerback, and the Commanders are, long story short, he's not even playing for the Commanders. They're going a lot of different directions other than putting him on the field. Sure. And so to me, that's, there's opportunity, but the Commanders, nobody since week 5 has blitzed more than the Commanders. They blitz that day, Joe Witt, the defensive coordinator there, is like, listen, we weren't getting a lot of pressure. We weren't able to get guys home. They were winning games. Mm-hmm. Their offense was outstanding, but they struggled. And since week 5, they have really stepped up their blitz game and the pressure game. Yeah. So the Cowboys have absolutely got to be ready for that.
One of the tackles is hurt, correct? I think Jonathan
Allen's out. Jonathan Allen's out. He's Jonathan Allen tore a pec muscle against the Baltimore Ravens.
Sure.
Done.
Him, and they just traded for Marshawn Lattimore.
Hasn't practiced, and so he probably won't play. That's why they traded for Lattimore, because they know they're struggling right now at corner.
Sure.
Was it Noah Mbenagane?
What's his name?
Yeah. Noah Imbenogany.
Sure, that's close enough. Yeah. That's it.
I always say his name wrong. Noah Imbenogany. Imbenogany.
Igbenogany. Yeah.
Imbenogany. Yeah, I say it wrong every time. I'm sorry, but
Omni,
he's your nickel.
Yeah.
He's your nickel on this team. You know, and he was a healthy scratch. He was a healthy scratch every week for the Cowboys. It seemed like that he was here. Yeah. Traded for him. Remember him, Boss Man Fat? They get traded for each other.
Yep.
You know, now he's the starting nickel for the Washington Commanders. So, you know, that's kind of where you're at right now. You know, and maybe if you can, like I said, I believe keeping the ball away from the Commander offense is probably the best path. Yeah. Probably not going to score enough points with Cooper Rush at quarterback. Oh. You're just not. Oh.
So hey, you know, we'll try to run the ball with our new lead back, Rico Dowdle. We'll, you know, that was Mike McCarthy called him, new lead guy. And hey, we'll just see what happens there, bro. But let's get to some talk, bro. I want to do an exercise. I want to do something fun.
Sure.
Let's save Scorden for tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll do Scorden and Ravel and somebody and some other guys, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about defensive tackles not named Mason Graham.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to compare them and contrast them a little bit.
Okay.
We already talked about Derek Harmon, defensive tackle from Oregon.
Right, we did.
So we haven't discussed Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle from Ohio State, and Walter Nolan, D tackle from Ole Miss.
Right.
Brian, when I was watching Tyleik Williams, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm already in the mindset of, okay, well, the tackles in this class are very athletic, right?
Yeah.
So when I look at Tyleik Williams, the first thing I do is I compare his athleticism to the other athleticisms of the other guys, right?
Right.
And that may not be fair to him. But I tell you what I like about Tyleik Williams, man. Boy, Brian, he got a first step.
Sure does.
Boy, Brian, hands come with that first step.
Sure does.
And boy, he strike the hell out of people, don't he, Bryan Broaddus?
Sure does.
Boy, I get to watching Tyleik Williams, man, and they'll call themselves double teaming him, man. He'll take that knee and get back up, and you start to see a little motor from Tyleik Williams. And I go, I look up his weight, Bryan Broaddus. You think he's probably going to be one of them 225 guys? What he going to be, Brian?
327.
He's 327. Perfect.
6'3", 327 is what he is.
Big old boy, good moving, good first step and all that. And then when you see him in those one-on-one situations, he does have the ability to strike, separate, and find the ball. I think he's really good in run game. I think as a pure run game dude, fantastic. I think he'll be a full-time one tech in the league. I think, you know, Ohio State moves him around a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I think he's going to be a bona fide one tech guy. But him and his first step and his athletic ability, so to speak, from one tech, I think you can possibly put him on the field on third downs, maybe kind of sort of, as a pocket pusher type of guy. But I see a lot of power in him. I see a lot of stoutness, a lot of anchor, a lot of ass, and a lot of strong hands off of that first step, Bryan Broaddus. I like Tyleik Williams, Ohio State.
I tell you what, I think he got the player nailed. 6'3", 327. It's a massive tackle, but he's not sloppy at all. Yeah. You would think that 327 that he might be kind of a fat, sloppy guy. He's not. You mentioned he's got a powerful upper body, allows him to control blockers. He does a really good job, as you mentioned, of extending his hands. He not only fights single blocks, but he fights those double team blocks as well. That was something else you mentioned. I said he gets outstanding momentum coming off the ball with his first step. I mean, that momentum makes him very difficult. He's very quick to get up the field and across the line of scrimmage. And there's some snaps where you see him, you observe him coming off the ball a little too upright and a little tall, but his power helps him make up for that. I think he did a really good job as a run defender. You see him find the ball. You see him get rid of blockers. There's times where he's in position to make a play, and he was just like a tick behind. I mean, just, you know, he was in the backfield, could have been a tackle for loss, and now he's diving at the guy and stuff, but he's in the backfield, and then he's, you know, forcing the ball carrier to another area to you know, but he's just, I thought, a little bit of a tick behind on that. I thought he had really good football IQ when it comes to reading the plays and seeing plays. He's relentless with the motor, the effort. He puts himself in position to make plays. I felt like he could improve as a pass rusher with his moves, but he did have a pretty good arm over move to free himself as a rusher. I mean, that was kind of his go-to move, but he does a really good job of collapsing the pocket with power You can line him up. I think you could play him in any one of the defensive line positions. I think he'd be just fine. But I think when, he needs to work on coming off that ball, not being tall at times. But when he plays with his pads down, this guy could be a really difficult player to handle one-on-one. I do like this kid quite a bit, just because of the fact of there's athletic ability there. He's a massive guy, and you could play him at a couple of different spots.
Now, Bryan, I tweeted this 2 hours ago. I kind of want to pull this up and show you. I tweeted this 2 hours ago. I don't get how Tyleik Williams be whooping people standing straight up, Bryan. That's what I said.
Yeah.
I don't get how he be whooping people standing straight up.
Yeah.
So something that I have to consider when we have these conversations, Bryan, is I have to think about how much coaching does a player need. I think that's a conversation that I'm going to bring to the table when we work together, Bryan. And we may look at Tyleik Williams now. Let's just say that we have him ranked around a certain kind of whatever, right?
Sure.
Let's just say, hey, if you get a coach to teach him pad level,
knee bend, pad level,
and pair that with the good traits that he has, I think you can get an even better player than what you have already. So I think there's some room for him to grow, Bryan Broaddus, which is even more impressive.
There's absolutely room for this guy to grow, and the fact that how he plays on the other side of the ball. I mean, he plays on the offensive side of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
There are times where they just could not block him, and he was splitting double teams. He was taking on. He's throwing guys aside. The hand use is really, really, really good.
Sure.
The quickness is good. The footwork's good. Like I said, he puts himself in position. Wish he just finished a little bit better, but I think that's something I think that you can absolutely work on with him. Maybe the angle that he goes in there, but he wins a lot of battles. I could say he wins battles, double teams.
Yeah.
And you watch him and they try and block him and they can't. He's that kind of a disruptive of a player.
Now, Bryan, let's make this a little difficult. This is the point of the exercise today.
Yeah.
In your opinion, are you taking Tyleik Williams, and there are two different players. Are you taking Tyleik Williams, D tackle from Ohio State, or do you take Derek Harmon, the D tackle from Oregon? Which one of those tackles you like better?
Wow. Okay. One, as I mentioned, is 6'3", 327.
Yeah.
The other 6'5", 310.
I think, Harmon may be the better athlete, but I love that first step from Williams. Go ahead.
Yeah, Harmon is not going to give up on a play. I mean, his leverage is really, really good. His arm length, his height. He's, like Williams, he can control blockers at the point of attack. I didn't think he had as many the pass rush moves, but I think he can make up with it. I kind of said the same thing. Harmon and Williams kind of struggle a little bit with their pass rush move, but their power is what kind of gets them through to the next, past a guy into the quarterback. I mean, the way he moves, Harmon, again, Oregon defensive tackle, he's fluid in the way that he moves. He's a quick reactions. He's an ideal piece to have along the defensive line, just because he could cause problems for any blocking schemes the way he plays. He could stack, he could shed, he could play the run. Blockers have a hard time getting movement on him due to his ability. He can anchor down. I mean, these guys are very, very similar to how they play. And I even said in my notes, we'll get a little tall in the way he plays, and that will get him in trouble. Harmon, Williams, same power, same hand use, same stack ability. Need to play with a little bit better knee bend, but kind of those two guys, both these Big Ten defensive tackles, honestly, I don't think you could go wrong with either one of these guys. I really don't. I think to me, I would take Harmon just because of what you talked about. He was a transfer from Michigan State. He played 3 years at Michigan State and then went to Oregon, and the lateral agility, the quickness, but he's a little bit lighter guy right now. I mean, he's 17 pounds lighter than what you have with Williams. Sure. And so but both could play as that one technique we talk about. That's more of a heavy nose tackle type of guy, inside shoulder of the guard, or play the three on that outside shoulder of the guard, in that B gap. I think both of these guys could do that, but I think Harmon just probably a little bit more the lateral agility, the sidestep, the blockers, the penetrate. Both of them are good at. Both very disruptive. It's a good exercise to try and figure out maybe a little bit more flexibility with Harmon than Williams.
I want to slightly disagree No, like how you broke down the players were absolutely correct, Brian.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think I would prefer Williams, Tyleik Williams, Ohio State over Harmon, because I think Williams has a better path for what I'm trying to do for him. Right?
Sure.
Like Harmon is he's traits. Harmon is all traits, and you can look at him and go, man, I can see him being athletic all on my defense like this. But if I'm drafting the D tackle, in my mind, I want a guy that's strong, that's stout, that's an anchor guy, that's going to stop the run, and I know exactly what he's going to be. I think that's Williams. I favor the strong hands. I favor the quick step for his size.
That, and that's where your argument is very, very good.
Sure.
I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, here's two guys, both penetrate well, both play with strength. One's 17 pounds heavier than the other guy, but they both are athletic.
Sure.
There's something to that argument. I think that, to me, and I hate it when every time I used to think it was really cool when they used to talk about position flex.
Yeah.
And then I watched it ruin guys. I watched it ruin Tyron Crawford. I watched it kind of ruin Golston, because they couldn't figure out too late when to play a guy and that. So I always hate when they, play one damn position and figure it out, and
that's what I like about Williams.
Harmon, to me, I think because of the athletic ability and the traits, you're absolutely right.
Sure.
But 17 pounds, power and quickness deserve our attention.
Sure.
And that's what you get with Williams.
I like both players, but fantastic discussion. But Brian,
I think this is really, I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged by what I've seen with Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan. I'm encouraged by what I've seen from Harmon, what I've seen from Williams. I know we're going to talk about Walter Nolan from Ole Miss. I think he's kind of a different player than those guys that we've talked about.
But let me ask you this before we get into Walter Nolan.
Okay.
You seen Kenny Grant, correct, from Michigan?
I have, and I'll tell you what, if I would put,
he's another one.
I would put Kenny Graham. Or Kenny Grant. I would put defensive tackle from Michigan. He is in that conversation with Harmon and Williams and those guys.
Sure.
People are going to freak out again. Just sit down and look at Michigan.
He flies off the football too, Brian. His lateral work.
I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass, folks. I'm really not. I'm not. But I'm telling you, these Michigan players are different than they were, and better players than Chris Jenkins and Mozzie Smith. Absolutely. But, different scheme, different way they play. But I'll tell you what, if did you get a chance to see Grant? Did you get to see him and all?
I'm about to pull up some film on Grant because I'm excited about him, Brian Bros. My word.
This is where to me that, this is why I'm encouraged. This is why I'm encouraged by Cowboys needing defensive tackle help.
There's a lot of them.
And there's a lot of them. This is very reminiscent so far of what we saw last year with the offensive tackles.
Yes, sir.
In my opinion. And this is what I said about Kenneth Grant. If you don't mind me,
please,
my notes.
Please.
Here's a guy at 6'3", 339. Michigan number 78 is his number. And he plays next to a guy that's 6'3" and 320 pounds in Mason Graham. So you kind of get an idea what you're dealing with these two guys. But this is what I said. These are no longer read and react players. They do a much better job of getting off the ball and getting up the field thanks to the scheme of defensive coordinator Wink Martindale. Plays really strong with his hands, nice upper body strength. It's a hard guy to control due to his power. Powerful tackler, really good burst. Plays with outstanding lateral agility for his size. Is able to close on the ball quickly. Gets into the backfield. This is something we didn't see from Michigan defensive tackles before. But he can be very disruptive. High motor with pursuit to the ball. Has shown ability to chase plays from sideline to sidelines or chase down the field. Can anchor down in the run game, will hold his ground against the double team, doesn't have many pass rush moves again, but his hand use is good. is always attempting to knock the blocker's hands away. I feel like this kid could be a dominant player at playing the 1 or 3 technique.
Yeah.
Feel like he will have production whether he's playing in a 4-3 or a 3-4 front. Better overall player both than Smith and Jenkins. I said that earlier. These Michigan kids are legit, and I know Cowboy fans want nothing to do with Michigan players.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I totally get it. But please take a look at these kids, give them their due, compare them to the other ones, to Williams and to Harmon and to Nolan and those guys and Graham from Michigan, and just compare them. Compare them all. I mean, like I said, Graham, but compare them all and see where you have them ranked, because you're going to see different football players.
You know, really Brian, fantastic, fantastic breakdown by you, sir. You just broke it down perfectly, sir. But if I could just add something else,
you doubt that I wouldn't break down a player the right way?
Sometimes you be tripping, but I just
what? I had somebody say that to me one time in a draft room. Sometimes like, man, Broaddus, you are on drugs.
Sometimes
I'm like, okay, don't test me now. Test me later, you know?
I just want to add something to it, Brian.
Yeah.
The 3 defensive tackles that we've talked about today.
Oh, no.
They all move well.
They all move well.
But what I think about Grant, I think Grant actually got a feel for pass rushing. I think he has a really good
It's
feel.
Better than the others. I think it's a little bit better than the others. Yes.
And sometimes it's just about feel. I want to show you 2 different plays, Brian. And he's going to get pressured 2 different ways, okay? On this play, great lateral movement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to see a little bit of exchange here. Going to see slants up front.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah.
The other guys, they're great athletes. I think he has a feel for how to get around.
Oh, no. Yeah. Here we go. And that's then, USC, right? Is that USC?
Yes, sir. And then on this play, this is in a championship game versus Washington.
Yeah.
And it's dudes on that Washington line, Broaddus.
They got some dudes. We did them all. Yeah.
Right.
Rosengard and all those guys. Yeah.
Right when you think he's about to slash and sideways and lateral agility you up, he's also a run down the middle of you all-star. He's a strong character.
Yeah.
To go get to the quarterback, Brian, bro. Like I can make highlight tapes of him getting pressure in different kind of ways. So he's a guy that adds versatility to the party. Yeah. He's a guy that adds versatility to the party. So Williams may be like they all do everything great. I think Williams is like a special, strong, run defending guy. Nolan Harmon from Oregon is like a athletic, run around, effort, energy guy. They all got energy. They all got,
motor. They're all 3 motor players.
They're all motor guys. But man, when I'm watching Kenny Grant, man, Kenny got some versatility. I do agree with you that he could play 1 and 3. But this first time I bona fide fully agree. You've said that they all kind of play all over the place. I think Williams from Ohio. Williams from Ohio State. I think he's
more of a 1. He's a 1.
Harmon's probably going to be a 3 for me.
Probably a 3.
I really think Grant can play both.
Yeah,
I really sincerely think.
And he's bigger. He's actually bigger than both guys.
He's humongous. Now, Brian, how you rank all 3 of these guys? If you had to rank them down by 3s, how you rank all 3 of them? It's a good year for tackles, man.
It is a really good year for tackles. Dallas Cowboys need tackles. They need the 1s and the 3s. Which one you going to give the priority to? Because that, I think, would be some consideration. Because if you feel like that Grant could play both spots, he's probably going to be higher on your board than what Williams is going to be on your board. So
it's tough, Brian. This is tough.
Yeah. I think I would put Grant over the 2 guys is what I would do. I think I would go Grant. I think I would then go my Oregon guy.
Yep.
And then I think I would go Williams 3rd.
I would agree, but I got Grant, Williams, then Harmon. That's me.
You went Harmon. See, I went Harmon 2nd is what I did.
But I wouldn't be upset if I got Harmon though. Like all those guys, all those guys could play, man. All three of these dudes could play.
And I think there's going to be a list of even more because seriously, it's so encouraging to see Graham from Michigan, Harmon from Oregon, and Williams from Ohio State, and also what I say,
Williams,
Harmon
Grant,
from Oregon,
Grant.
and then Grant from Michigan. Grant. It's so encouraging. To how many times have we worked on a draft and we're just fighting to find defensive tackle play?
Yeah,
I mean, it just it was like the Fisk kid from Florida State. Like it was, that's like we were just kind of we only
Texas
had
kids, one Texas kids last year.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, there was it seemed like to me it was really kind of a barren group, a barren position, that way. But it's encouraging that we're off to a pretty damn good start with these kids.
Brian, we got one more tackle, but I'm gonna table that so we can show and tell tomorrow.
Okay.
So that's Walter Nolan from Ole Miss.
Nolan from Ole Miss. That's a different cat right there, by the way.
He's a totally different dude. And Brian, you know what? I looked at his last year's film. He's another A&M guy. Like A&M had all the guys.
They did.
Like
he was a 5-star recruit at Texas A&M and found his way to Oxford, Mississippi.
I feel like I've been watching a ton of A&M guys, Bryan Broaddus.
Yeah.
How about this? So this is what we're gonna do for Friday's draft show. I mean, today ended up being a draft show. Whatever. We're gonna talk about Nick Scordon.
Yeah, from the edge from Texas A&M.
And wasn't he like a former Ole Miss guy? Like didn't they switch? It was something with him. But
let me tell you, I think I always like to know. You'll find it really fun when you work with Nick Harris.
He knows.
Nick Harris
went to high school,
will know where they transfer, and he'll know exactly where they transferred from. So that's kind of a fun thing about Nick. He will give you everything about the kid. That's pretty interesting. He transferred from Purdue.
Purdue. It was
3-year player from Purdue. Yeah.
So Brian, this is what we're gonna do. We got Nick Scordon.
Yep.
Walter Nolan.
Got him.
I'm going to watch the corner, Siobhan Riel.
Please do. Yeah, watch the 23. He was hurt very early in September with the knee, so you're probably not going to get anything much out of that. But go back and watch that cat play.
And do you want to do JT Tuimalau, the pass rusher?
This kid right here, yes, I do, and I want to do him because this guy is a really solid football player.
7-year veteran.
Yeah, a 7-year veteran, no question. No, he never gets injured. I mean, sorry, knock on wood. He is durable. He's tough. He's played a lot of big games. I'd love to talk about him tomorrow night.
All right, let's watch JT Tuimalau. And look, I feel like I know everything there is to know about him because every year that we break down tackles, he's played all the Big Ten guys or like Georgia in the playoffs or whatever. We've seen a ton of them, but we're gonna break down. All right, so everybody tapped in. Nick Scordon, pass rusher from Texas A&M. Walter Nolan, D tackle from Ole Miss. Siobhan Riel, the corner from ECU, East Carolina, and JT Tuimalau. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. Tuimalau from Ohio State, the pass rusher, or the edge defender because he's a very sound player. But we'll break those guys down tomorrow. So y'all be sure to do y'all homework so y'all can follow along with us, and it'll be a fun one tomorrow. Bryan Broaddus, listen, man, breaking down Washington's cool, man. But this exercise we just had with the tackles, it was a blast. I had a blast.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. It'll be a lot of fun. And after we get done here, what do? We start watching more tape. We got more players to watch. So I hope everybody out there takes an opportunity to get the players you can. Watch them if you have to watch them up on YouTube, whatever you have to do to kind of get an idea. People are doing some fine work out there to kind of help you along. If you want to get an idea of how the player body type looks, you could type their names in, or you could type the team, type Ohio State verse, and stuff will pop up. Yep. You get a lot of really, you can look at some stuff that way. So feel free to give it a crack.
And just for the heads up, there's a Thursday night football game going on. The Cleveland Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cleveland is winning 10-3. So we need the 2-8 Cleveland Browns to win a game here. So right brick on my brick, guys. All right. Y'all be sure to follow me at Voch Lombardi, VOCHLOMBARDI. And y'all please tap into Bryan Broaddus on all social medias. We both will be giving you some fantastic content there. And don't forget, if you have an argument, go down the comments and we'll talk about it so we can create a little day where we set the phones up and we'll calmly discuss your disagreement. And me and Bryan will loudly put a whooping on you. All right, y'all hold down to the next time. We love y'all to pieces. Till tomorrow. Ground.